Yes, all is good. And you can hear me fine and clear, Bruce?
I can hear you fine and clear, Bruce.
Great, thank you so much. Welcome back to Tiny TV. After a short hiatus over the summer, I'm back to give you more interviews from the grand world of music. One of my favorite bands, a band that I grew up with ever since I learned how to fall on a skateboard by my older cousin, is releasing a new album this Friday. It's called Senjutsu. The band is called Iron Maiden. And I'm so proud now to present here on Tiny TV Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden. Hi, Bruce. Say hi to the world.
Oh, hello. How you doing? Yeah, very good.
I'm sitting in a tiny loft in Copenhagen. Where in the world are you right now?
I'm sitting in my front room at the moment. And that's the washing machine in the kitchen. There you go.
Oh, that's nice. Well, I want to talk, of course, about the new album a lot. I've heard it a few times from the copy that was sent to me by the record label, and I really like it.
Okay.
And it's really astonishing to me that a band like yours that means so much to me and has been with me through my whole life can continue to produce these great albums. I mean, I'm just curious. How do you keep the fire going when you sit down and write these songs, these long, epic songs? Is it becoming easier or harder as time goes by?
Well, we don't really think about it in terms of whether it's easy or hard. We just do what's in front of us, to be honest with you. I mean, so, when Steve goes and writes like a great long, epic, he locks himself away for 4 or 5 days and lets it kind of let gestate and gets all the details sorted out on it. And then, when we record it, it is just a question of playing what's in front of you. So if it's like an 11-minute song or something, then we tend to break it down into chunks. And because the studio, we rehearse and write and record all in the same place, all together, then it provokes a kind of spontaneity that we we didn't necessarily have in the days of tape. I mean, there's also some things it maybe doesn't do, but on balance, I think the way we make albums now is a bit more comfortable than the way we used to make them. Because in the days of tape, there was much less possibility of going back and fixing the detail and things like that. So now we're very relaxed. We put a backing track down, put the bass and the drums down, even if it's in segments. But you can put it all together, and then you can take your time layering the guitars on, putting down the vocals and things like that. So at the same time, when we record, we do all record together and play together in the same room, which, gives it that, live, spontaneous feel.
Would you say it's live in the studio even?
Well, no, it is live in the studio, but whether or not we keep any of the live bits in the studio is a different question. So we will play in the studio, basically in support of Nico and Steve, essentially in support of Nick. To make sure that he gets the vibe to put the great drum track down. Because if you're doing an 11-minute song, the chances of getting all the parts absolutely correct, all in the right order, when a lot of us don't even know the song to begin with, right? Because we haven't rehearsed it. We've just literally learnt it in the studio and then gone in and done it. So we're really like in support of Nick to make sure he gets a great drum track down, and then we sit back and relax and actually can take the time to really get our heads around what the song is doing. Now, some songs are different. I mean, like Writing on the Wall is more of what I would term a conventional song. It's short enough that we could learn it as one piece. So songs of that nature, more likely to have some bits from the original live takes because we keep everything. But when I'm doing my vocals, for example, I'll wait till we've got a good bed track of everything, because you need some color and some guitars and some things, to give you the sort of the information to bounce off. And then I'll just go and sing the whole thing all the way through. Sometimes with Steve's tracks, the melody and the way he writes lyrics and has it interact with the song, it's not, intuitive. It's not a what bat baloo bat or what bam boom like that, anything else like that.
I would like you to hear you sing that one day, though.
I just did, so
well, thank you.
So anyway, just so when you do the vocal like that, we might break it down into chunks. If it was like a song like Writing on the Wall, I do the whole thing, so you run one pass of the entire song, and then you sort of think, well, we're just getting warmed up now. Then you run another one, and by this time you probably have a listen back to it and go, okay, yeah, this bit, that bit, that bit. Then we run a third pass of the whole song, and now hopefully things are starting to sound pretty together. Actually, very often you might find that 50 or 60% of the track, sometimes more, is all from the third pass. And then you go into the fourth pass of the song, and now you're starting to think about the bits you didn't get on the third pass. You're thinking, that line, I want to just focus on that one. And then you go and have a cup of coffee, sit back, and then have a listen to all of them and say, yep. And then scratch your head a little bit and go, yeah, maybe I can beat that bit. Maybe I can beat that bit. And then we put it all together, and we'll put the whole thing together as a performance. So, we might use 60% of the third take, and then we've got lines from the first or the second that we can drop in. Now, back in the old days, you would literally be dropping in, so that you do one take of the song, and then you'd say, well, we'll fix up that line, and you'd sit there going 1, 2, 3, 4, and they go, oh, that was a very good but we need, we also need the stuff. So could you go stuff at the end? So you go, okay, 2, 3, 4, stuff. Yeah, no, that was almost there, but just a little bit ahead. So we need to go. So and it was really, that's how we recorded like Number the Beast and Peace of Mind and Power Slave. So sometimes it was great, and sometimes it was all very fragmented. The job of the producer, of course, is to make sure that it doesn't sound fragmented. But nowadays it's easier because it's more go with the flow, and you just do what you do, and you assemble it, as it were, later. But we'll do that, and then typically we'll take a listen back to the kind of semi-completed version, and we go, we happy with that, or could we do better? Listening back to it, maybe that line. I say, okay, I'll just go back in, I'll just do the whole second verse over again, and we'll see if you get the bit that you want out of that. Then when we've done all of that, we move on to the next songs. Typically we do backing vocals and things, or extra vocals at the end. This album's slightly different because there's a lot of overdubbed, double tracked little harmonies, like the whole of the first the title track, Senjutsu. It's like harmony vocals for actually the lead vocal at the beginning, so it's all like double tracked, two voices, and I pretty much do I do all the voices on the record. So if it's like ahs and oohs and things, it's all me, just being ahs and oohs and, So, I get to have some fun on this record. It's a lot of different textures.
Yeah, and it sounded like you had a lot of fun doing it. It's a really melodic and great album. Speaking of Power Slave, which you just mentioned, it's my childhood Iron Maiden album. And what I always loved about Maiden is that you have themes for your records. You had the Egyptian pharaohic theme on Power Slave. You had the futuristic on Time Out of Mind. And the Book of Souls had a theme on its own. The new Senjutsu, we see a samurai on the cover of the album. So is this theme, again, of war and greatness? Because that's what I hear in the record.
Well, you know, the Senjutsu, the samurai idea, that you know, Steve came along and said, look, I've got this idea. We'll call the album Senjutsu, which is like the way of strategy and tactics, is a rough sort of translation. And I went, okay, cool. That's different for us, and I like different. So, yeah. And then he said, well, we have Eddie as a samurai. I went, oh yeah, enough said, brilliant. I mean,
great.
You don't need to hear any more than that. You think, yeah, got it. Now, is the album a concept album? Absolutely not.
No.
The cover's a concept, the same way as Power Slave was. You know, yeah, we take Iron Maiden back to ancient Egypt, and there is precisely one song on the album about that.
Exactly.
But that doesn't matter. You know, it's just a vibe. Basically, it's a cool picture frame to put the world in that we're inhabiting for, you know, the 82 minutes, or in this particular case for this album. So it was Steve's idea, and basically the album, the cover, is him and I think it's Mark Wilkinson, I think the artist, right? So Steve locked himself away with him, and they did the cover between them. And then we got 2 or 3 versions of it, so to give the thumbs up or thumbs down as to this is the one we like, don't like, whatever. But yeah, pretty much the cover and the Eddie design is between, you know, Steve and the artist did that and did I think a fantastic job as well.